Welcome. It is November 18th, 2019. This is Constitution Podcast, the inaugural episode. Last Saturday, we were preempted by University of Redlands football on KMET 1490 AM, where I have my Constitution radio program. I thought, okay, well, why not tape a replacement, but put it on YouTube, Constitution Podcast. So this will be really an extension to the radio program. Radio program airs every Saturday at 1 o'clock on KMET 1490 AM. You can go to KMET1490am.com on Saturdays at 1 o'clock Pacific time to listen to that program. And it's with myself and my co-hosts, Alan Myers, Alex Ferguson, and Dennis Jackson. This will be a solo effort for the time being. As I learn more about my technology and all that, we may add guests and co-hosts, and we'll see. But let's go through what I wanted to talk about today. First, let's begin with the impeachment hearing, which to me has been scoring points for President Trump. Because there's no evidence, there's no facts, it's all hearsay, and the American people know it. I think this is actually bolstering Trump's popularity among the voters. I think President Trump is going to do well in 2020 because of all of this impeachment stuff. They're using all these tax dollars to, chase after someone because they disagree with him politically. Now, when we look at what's been going on with this, one of our most recent questions should be, and understand, the process has not gone to the Senate yet. This is just a House of Representatives thing. And so here's the question. Should Donald Trump testify, or should he stand before these committees, before the Democrats of the House of Representatives? The Dems have set, I think that they have set a perjury trap for him. They're trying to put him in a position where he might contradict himself, and they're going to be creative in the questions they ask. In my notes, what I put is that they keep trying to get him they keep trying to make him prove his innocence. That's not how the American system works. So you're innocent until proven guilty. They say, well, you need to prove your innocence. Innocent until proven guilty. They need to prove he's guilty. He doesn't need to prove he's innocent. Our system of justice just doesn't work that way. What the Democrats are doing, and like I said, also is with the perjury trap. They're trying to set up what's called a false statements prosecution because nothing else has worked. They tried to, say he was sexist, and he's sexist. He's racist. He's the Russian collusion. You name it, they've attacked him with it, and nothing has worked. Therefore, now this phone call with the Russian the president of the Ukraine, and they're claiming the quid pro quo. In other words, he's saying, hey, investigate the Bidens or else I don't give you any aid. And that's not what happened. You read the transcript that says nothing of the sort. The Democrat star witness, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, he's the top Ukraine expert on the National Security Council. And he has served under both President Obama and President Trump, all right? So this guy should know both administrations. He should know what's going on with both of them and what has happened underneath each. He stated he believes Trump's phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky was gravely problematic, his term, despite the fact that the transcript says otherwise. The problem is that his testimony is inconsistent with the truth and gravely problematic when he couldn't even get basic facts about military assistance to Ukraine right. No transfer of those kinds of weapons under Obama. It happened after Trump took office. This little fact also messes with the Democrats' narrative that Trump is in cahoots with the Russians. Due to the narrative, the Democrats have argued that Trump was unwilling to support the Ukrainians in their ongoing conflict with Russia. Yet Trump has given more military support than Obama gave to the Ukrainians. In fact, Obama's administration was firmly against arming the Ukrainians. In fact, Obama had the opportunity to arm the Ukraine with Javelin anti-tank missiles but refused the sale. Trump approved the sale in 2017, shortly after he took office. Vindman, our national security expert regarding the Ukraine, when asked under oath, thought the sale occurred under Obama's watch. So he couldn't even get that information correct. When Ambassador William Taylor testified, he added nothing to to help the Democrat Party's impeachment narrative either. So here's another witness. It's just not working for the Democrats. He testified he could think of no crime committed by President Trump. Taylor did say, however, he was told about a conversation by staff members between the ambassador to the European Union, Gordon David Sondland, and President Trump. Now, notice everything's always secondhand knowledge. He heard about a conversation between Sondland and staff. He was told by somebody else who heard it, somebody else heard it, and all this other stuff. There's no first-hand knowledge anywhere. It's all hearsay. It's all secondhand knowledge. And during this conversation, Trump was allegedly asking about the Ukrainian investigations, and Sondland allegedly said the Ukrainians said they were ready to move forward. Later, in a testimony by eavesdropper David Holmes contradicts Taylor's testimony, saying the information about the conversation was immediately forwarded and distributed. So, in other words, everybody knew. They all were aware of this information, so it didn't need to work its way through the gossiping staff grapevine where, I heard the conversation from staff that they had heard this. That's the way Taylor was putting it. And Holmes says, no, it was common knowledge. It was distributed. There was no secret there. Ambassador Yanovich, nominated as U.S. ambassador to Ukraine by Obama, testified that in case it should come up, she was actually briefed and prepared in case questions came up about Biden's son's employment by the Ukrainian energy company Burisma. So they basically knew that it could be an issue, and they briefed her, prepared her, gave her talking points ahead of time in case it came up, because they knew there was something wrong there, they being the Democrats. They prepped her because they knew, and she admitted in her testimony, that Hunter Biden's position with Burisma presented a potential conflict of interest. Yet, Yovanovitch had no objection to Vice President Joe Biden using his position as VP to use the withdrawal of U.S. aid to the Ukraine as a threat so that the country's leadership would fire a top state prosecutor investigating the company for corruption. Biden, in fact, bragged about it. He was proud of the fact that he threatened the Ukraine and got them to fire this prosecutor. He bragged about it. But yet they are accusing Trump of doing the same thing regarding an investigation into corruption and Biden's son and all that. The impeachment hearing includes an accusation also by House Speaker Pelosi that basically Trump is guilty of bribery. Now, if you read the Constitution, it says that if a president or any officer is impeached for bribery, that the punishment can be nothing other than removal from office. It is actually possible to be impeached and not be removed from office and receive a different punishment. But in the case of bribery, if you're impeached and convicted of that impeachment, see, impeachment means to charge, you still have to be convicted. What the House is doing is they're doing an impeachment inquiry. They haven't even impeached him. It's almost like a grand jury. And they're acting like the prosecutors in a grand jury. And they're trying to basically decide whether or not we should go forward with the trial in the Senate. That's basically what they're doing. Now, and in a grand jury, of course, it comes down to, is there enough evidence to go forward with the trial? Well, there is no evidence. There's no facts. There's no evidence. It's all hearsay. It's all secondhand information. So, by a bunch of liars. She is alleging that the president is withholding about $400 million in congressionally approved aid to Ukraine while pushing Ukraine's new President Zelensky to investigate the Bidens and Burisma, which is a Ukrainian gas company. In her testimony, or in her accusations and allegations, when asked by Utah House Republican Chris Stewart about it, she responded she was not aware of anything like that. She contradicted herself. Now remember also, this is the same woman last April who was saying we're not going to go forward with impeachment unless it's a bipartisan effort. Does it sound bipartisan to you? No, it's right around party lines. We have the Democrats and the Republicans voting together and working, on their own side. There is no bipartisanship. Now, rather than do the work of the country, the Democrats are spending massive tax dollars on trying to reverse the last presidential election. Now, and that's what cracks me up. They scream they're all about democracy. Democracy this, democracy that. Democracy. Well, if it's all about democracy, if they believe in democracy, and by the way, we're supposed to be a republic, not a democracy, but that's a different thing we'll talk about near the end of this program. That's one of my last things to talk about before we say toodaloo for the day. But yet they want to reverse the last election. If they're all about democracy, then why do they want to reverse the election? It sounds like they don't believe in democracy. They believe in their elite rulership. It's them or nobody. We don't want democracy is what they're saying. We want us in power and nobody else. If the president disagrees with us, if he believes that he can dismantle the deep state machine we've created, why, we're going to get rid of him and we're going to reverse the people's vote. But yet they claim, we're all about democracy. Really? That's not democracy in my book. That's not what democracy is supposed to be. All right, so all they're doing and all they can do is be obstructionists, trying to sabotage the functioning of the executive branch on top of everything else. All right, remember when they were claiming the Republicans were obstructionists during the Obama administration? Who's really the obstructionist? U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr said as much in his response, and the response by the Democrats are, well, let's impeach him too. Because apparently Bill Barr doesn't agree with us. He's problematic in what he's saying, so therefore we'll impeach him too. Yeah, and then they're going to make sure that he's stripped of all his licenses to practice law while we're at it. What a vindictive bunch. Even the leftist New York Bar Association are barking threats against Trump's attorney general over political differences. Is that how the Bar Association works? You get a law license as long as you agree with the left? But if you disagree with the left, they're going to strip your law license from you? Really? Is that what they're saying? The framers of the U.S. Constitution did not give us impeachment so that it could be used frivolously and weaponized against political opposition. This is a misuse of this tool. Impeachment was for those situations where, we got a president that's abusing power, that's acting illegally, and needs to be removed. It's not supposed to be used, weaponized to attack someone and threaten to remove someone because you disagree with them. And here's the thing, and these are things that really have me awake at night. I just think it is strange that while the Democrats rail, and this goes back to Ukraine, Burisma, it's a gas company. John Kerry's son and Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, both work for Burisma, or they're on the board for Burisma. And then Pelosi's got a child. It's either that company or another gas company. Also the Ukraine. But I found it fascinating that they rail against big oil. They want us to move away from gas usage. They want to get us out of our cars, because fossil fuels are dangerous. Fossil fuels are bad. We got to move away from fossil fuels, Doug, don't you know? But yet Joe Biden, John Kerry, and Nancy Pelosi each have children working for Ukrainian gas companies. And don't forget the millions of dollars of corrupt Ukrainian money funneled into the Clinton Foundation when she was Secretary of State. The Democrats are trying to impeach a President Trump, for trying to expose a crime of corruption. Yet they are also fighting to get Joe Biden elected as president, who is connected to and is the very person who committed the crimes that Trump's trying to expose. Who's the corrupt ones? All right, let's shift gears now. Now let's talk about shootings and guns, all right? In early August in El Paso, Texas, 22 people died in a mass shooting at a Walmart. And that was all over the news, and the left was using it as an example, even in Texas with conservative, whatever. 4 weeks later, a gunman in West Texas killed 5 while firing from his vehicle. In Dayton, Ohio, 10 people were killed in a shooting, including the gunman. That number includes the gunman. And 27 were injured outside of that bar in that shooting. And recently, 3 died at a high school shooting in Santa Clarita, California. high school, and 5 in San Diego, and 4 in Fresno. So if you add up all of the shooting deaths so far in 2019, those plus all the other shooting deaths, what you've got is a staggering number of 441 people killed in shootings in the United States. Therefore, 441 people, that's way too many people, so therefore we must ban guns according to the left. Because guns are the problem. All right, let's talk about some other statistics. So far in 2019, there have been nearly 40,000 fatal car accidents. That's the number per year, in the U.S. Each day, more than 90 Americans die in car accidents. On average, 2 million drivers experience a permanent injury every year. Almost 8,000 people are killed in traffic accidents involving drivers aged 16 to 20. And the most common causes of accidents resulting in death are drunk driving, 40%, speeding, 30%, and irresponsible driving, 33%. Some 58% of fatal car accidents involve only one vehicle, and 38% are caused by a traffic collision. In fact, I was involved in a single vehicle accident when I was young. Rolled a vehicle, nearly died. When it comes to fatal car accidents by state, most occurred in Texas and California during 2018. According to the statistics, most fatal injuries happen during weekends, and each year more than 1,600 children younger than 15 die in traffic accidents. So, I have an idea. Let's outlaw drinking and driving and outlaw speeding and irresponsible driving. Oh, wait a second. Those are already against the law, but people do it. People die from it. Well, we'll just have to take everybody's car away from them, right? How ridiculous is that? It is a push for control. If they took away everybody's car, how would you travel? Through government-approved transportation, which is what they want. What about guns? It's funny because I was watching this British show, and the gun control is strict there. I remember hearing a story, matter of fact, about a man who didn't turn in his guns. He wound up shooting 2 burglars in his house who were attacking him by knife point, and he killed one of them, and he wound up in prison for life for using an illegal gun to kill the burglar that broke into his house. But anyway, so I'm watching this BBC show, this British show, and this woman thinks that there's somebody breaking into her place, so she grabs an umbrella, and she's walking around the corner, ready to stab with the umbrella whoever might be broken into her house. Because naturally, to protect ourselves, we reach for a weapon. So if we're going to protect ourselves, wouldn't it be right, freedom-loving right, liberty right, and best for our chance to survive right, to equip us with the most appropriate tool? I guarantee you, if the person has a knife, that the umbrella-wielding woman is dead. But if that person breaking into her house hears, guess what? She probably lives. Firearms save lives. Gun-free zones kill. Now let's go a little further. Let's go a little further here about with this. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, each year more than 251,000 toy-related injuries are treated in American emergency rooms. So should we ban toys in the name of protecting our children? Because, they say we want to ban guns to protect our children. All right, well, 251,000 kids per year are in the emergency room over toy-related injuries. You want to protect the children, then maybe we should take away their toys too, right? Are you getting how ridiculous this gun control stuff is? But now remember, there are Democrat candidates that have said, we want to take away your firearms, or we want to take away your AR, or whatever. Now, don't forget also that the highest gun death rates are in the cities and states in the United States that have the strictest gun control laws. What does that tell you? All right, let's talk about the 2020 election. The Democrats, I think, are shooting themselves in the foot. They have lit their own death warrant. I don't know. The more they attack President Trump, I think the more they And the more they embrace socialism, I think the more bleak the 2020 presidential election will be for the Democrats. And I not only think it's likely that Trump is going to win in a landslide in 2020, picking up even more states in the Electoral College than he did in the last election. Don't believe the mainstream media, folks. I think also they're going to lose the House of Representatives. I think also what we're going to see is they're sabotaging their power in the legislature. And Biden has coasted on his familiarity with Democrat voters, his Rolodex of deep-pocketed donors, and his eschewing of nuanced policy plans for a singular focus, which is all about dislodging Trump from office. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, meanwhile, have put forward sweeping visions of socialism, beginning with universal child care, universal health care, and all of this paid for with new taxes on the very wealthiest Americans. Okay? So 1 year out, the polls have been showing, the polls that are out there have been showing that Biden is the front runner and the strongest contender in a hypothetical Trump matchup. Warren has the momentum. Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, has the momentum, the ground operation, and a clearer path in the early primary caucus states. Now, I looked up Rolling Stone magazine because I figured, I'm going to find someone who, for the most part, is journalistic. They're going to try to be as fair, but yet they're hard left at the same time, get their opinion. And so Rolling Stone magazine is where I went for this list, and they've got, even though Biden's number one in the polls, they've got Elizabeth Warren up in front. By the way, in the sidebar over there on your video, you'll see the top 5 listed there. All right, one more item. Let's move on to the next item, violence. Talking about violence, I'm not just talking about your run-of-the-mill riots and all that jazz, because really the violence that we see is the anti-Trump, the Antifa, the hard left. They're the ones out there committing violence. The mass riots and all that. And I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why I'm bringing up violence is, I'm a firm believer that if Trump wins, I'm confident he will win, there will be violence. Violence is coming whether Trump won or if the Dems win. They're going to get violent. They're desperate to silence the opposition. If they don't have the power, they're going to scream and go violent because their guy didn't get in office. If they win, they're going to scream and go violent because they want to silence anybody who dares stand against their people who won. All they've got left is violence. Mob rule. They claim to be for democracy. And the Founding Fathers did not set up this country to be a democracy. They set it up to be a republic. Democracy is mob rule. It's radicalism. It's rebellion. It's constant revolution. Democracy is a transitional government, a transitional system from a republic to an authoritarian oligarchy. The people vote in. It's funny because Khrushchev said he'd bury you. Khrushchev, Stalin both said they would take us from within. And that we would not only learn to adopt and love socialism, we would raise the red flag of socialism ourselves in America. Isn't that what we see what's happening? But you know what? It's not happening fast enough for the leftists. It's not happening fast enough for the progressives, so they're getting violent. They want change for the sake of change. False rights incited by the Democrats. Taught by schools. Encouraged by movies and TV. Trained by video games. The violence is being pushed on us from all directions. I was watching football last Thursday, and a defensive player ripped the helmet off of the quarterback and struck him on the head with the helmet. How many times have you seen videos of violence breaking out in restaurants and on buses? We have an angry society. Why are they angry? See, our problem with the shootings and the violence. See, they won't take away your guns because they think the guns are the problem. But we have an increase of violence at all levels. What is the cause? The violence and the shootings, that's symptoms. What is at the root of it? What is the cause? Well, I'll tell you what the cause is. The cause is that we are no longer a virtuous society. When you abandon the rule of law and a strict code of morality, society becomes vicious and debauched. And a society like that's not capable of liberty and the U.S. Constitution. And then as it gets more and more vicious and more violent, eventually the people get sick of it and they cry out for order. They cry out for peace and safety. And who's there to provide it? The very people who started the violence and the disorder in the first place. The authoritarians, the oligarchs. We have an epidemic of violence. And it's because we have lost our way and turned our backs on our Christian foundation, our Judeo-Christian roots. If we are a godly nation, we will be a nation of liberty. If we abandon, well, let me put it this way. What's the difference between the American Revolution and the French Revolution? The American Revolution succeeded in creating the greatest country in the history of the world. The French Revolution plunged France into chaos and death. The difference between the two revolutions, the French said they were trying to model their revolution after the American Revolution, but there were two differences. The American Revolution was based on godliness, while the French Revolution was based on secularism. And the American Revolution was based on promoting individualism, while the French Revolution was set on pushing collectivism. You remove God and you remove individualism and you wind up with the French Revolution. The progressive left, they're doing what they can to eliminate individualism and to eliminate God. And as a result, we are headed for our own French Revolution. If we don't, as an American people, wake up and remember the final words of the Declaration of Independence. With a firm reliance on divine providence, we mutually pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Are we willing to follow that? I hope so. All right, thank you for watching the Constitution Podcast. This is not designed to be a short video. It's a radio show that's an extension of my radio program on KMET 1490 AM. So if you're looking for some short little video somewhere, go elsewhere. But if you want to be informed with what's going on politically through the lens of the U.S. Constitution, this is the place to be. If you really want to get into learning the Constitution, go to my other YouTube page, Constitution Study Television. So if you go to the YouTube page here, douglasvgibbs.com, youtube.com/douglasvgibbs. On that YouTube page, on the right-hand side, you'll see the link for Mr. Constitution Douglas V. Gibbs, which is my Constitution Study Television. Or go to douglasvgibbs.com, hit the media link in the top link bar, and then go to videos, and you get the links there as well. Don't forget to donate to help out with what we do. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know I've been kind of quiet lately. Had some medical issues. I'm getting stitches out on Wednesday after surgery. So we're back in the saddle again. We're rolling forward. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to get out as much information as I can because we have to. We are up against a revolution, a French Revolution that wants to take away our liberty, take away the godliness that this country was founded on, those principles, and take away our individualism. We've got to stand up and fight for it, but if we're not properly informed, we won't even realize that they are taking away, they are blocking, they are stomping on our God-given natural rights and our system of liberty. Be informed and fight for our country. Do what you know how to do. Be an email warrior. Be that rock in the family or the person at church that everybody listens to after church is over. or be that activist that's out there at the rallies, or be, a radio host or whatever. Whatever it is you do, do it. Participate. Because if you don't get involved in politics, politics will get involved in you. All right, we'll see you next time here on Constitution Podcast. Thanks for watching. God bless.